We are making these decadent, soft, moist, classic chocolate cupcakes. It's about time I did a baking series since I am the Sugar Shack lady and all. Welcome to Aru's Baking Club. In this series, I'm going to show you lots of tips and tricks on how to get those delicious bakery-style baked goodies at home. So subscribe to Arubakes so that you don't miss out on any of these. And let's get straight into it. To make our chocolate cupcakes, let's start off with some salted butter. I always use salted butter when I'm baking because I believe it adds a depth of flavor that unsalted butter doesn't bring. Measure out 100 grams of the salted butter, cut it up into cubes and just let it come to room temperature. This is the other key thing when you're making a cake batter. Make sure that all of your ingredients are at room temperature just to help everything mix together easier. While our butter is coming up to room temperature, let's measure out the flour. Always use cake flour because it really helps you get that nice fluffy, soft texture for your cake as opposed to using all-purpose flour. So we'll sift this into a bowl. So pop your cake flour into a sieve. And to this, I'm going in with some corn flour. Corn flour is what helps you also get that nice soft texture, especially when you're making chocolate cake, because the cocoa powder tends to dry out the cake a little, so the corn flour adds a little bit of that softness back in. Always use good quality cocoa powder. Go in with a pinch of salt. Salt is very important when you're making more sweet goods because it enhances all of the flavors. Just a little pinch of salt helps you enhance the chocolatiness, the sweetness, and it just gives it a good depth of flavor. And to this, we're also adding in 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and then just sift that into the bowl. And then just use a whisk and mix everything together just so that everything is evenly mixed through and nicely distributed. And then we can set this aside. The other thing I like to do before making a batter is to crack the eggs into a jug or a cup, whisk it with a fork so that it's easier to pour this in. Also, when you're doing this, you don't have to worry or stress about accidentally adding in a rotten egg into your batter when you are cracking it straight into the bowl. This way, if you have a rotten egg, you can just throw this out and start over rather than throwing out your whole batter. Okay, so just break up the yolks like that, and we are ready to go. Into the bowl of your stand mixer, go in with your white sugar. Our butter has now come up to room temperature. You can see it's a lot more pliable than it was before. When you touch it, it's not cold. So this is kind of what you want, just so that it mixes through easier. Pop that into the bowl. And even though this is chocolate cupcakes you're making, I'm going in with a little bit of vanilla just to help enhance the flavors. And we always use a paddle attachment to mix this instead of a whisk attachment because it gives you the lightest, fluffiest batter. And then get this beating on a low to medium speed. Once this mixes for about 2 minutes and you can see that your sugar and your butter have started to combine, then go in with just a little bit of egg and then increase the speed to medium and let that mix so that the eggs that we added in mixes through the batter. After the first addition of egg, always scrape the bowl down. It's really important to scrape the bowl down, especially when you're making a small quantity like this, just to make sure that everything that's at the bottom of your bowl is getting nicely mixed through the batter. And then get that mixing again. So basically we are adding in about half an egg at a time, letting it incorporate into the batter before adding in the next bit of egg. When you have just the last bit of egg left to put in, always just check your batter just touch a little bit of it between your two fingers and make sure that there's no grains of sugar that you can feel. And if you can feel grains of sugar, just let this beat on a medium-high speed for a couple of minutes more until all of that sugar nicely dissolves into the batter before we go in with the last bit of egg. That feels perfect to me. And now that all of the sugar has dissolved into the batter, we go in with the last bit of egg. Mix this on a high speed for about 30 seconds more. Our batter is pale, fluffy, and beautiful. We are ready to add in the dry ingredients, but we are going to fold that in by hand rather than mixing it in with the paddle attachment. At this point, get your oven preheating to 170 degrees Celsius. Scrape off any of the batter that's left on your paddle attachment because we don't want to waste any of this. And we've got our dry ingredients here. So it's the cake flour, corn flour, cocoa powder, baking powder, and a little pinch of salt. I'm just going to whisk it again just to combine everything. Make sure everything is very well distributed. And I always like to fold the flour in by hand just to make sure we don't knock out too much of the air that we have incorporated into our wet ingredients. So take a large spoonful of this and sprinkle it in, like lightly sprinkle it in over your wet ingredients, and then fold that in together. So use a rubber spatula, go in almost to the bottom and kind of just bring it over the top like this. Just as the flour is getting incorporated into your wet ingredients, it doesn't have to mix all the way through. We go in with another spoonful. Sprinkle that in again lightly and then gently fold that in like this. Making sure to scrape down the sides. Keep doing this as you're folding the flour in so that at the end you don't get stuck with lots of lumps of flour. And then go in with the last bit of flour. You can add the flour in 3 or 4 sections like that. And then this last bit of flour, that you can be a little more vigorous when you're beating it in to almost just make sure there's no lumps, clumps, anything left behind. Because we find that cocoa powder tends to draw out a lot of the moisture from the wet ingredients, we are also adding in a little bit of milk right at the end just to help kind of give it that extra bit of moisture that cocoa powder really, really needs. So about a tablespoon of milk, and then just fold that in. And you can see immediately your batter has kind of drunk up that milk. It's basically nice and hydrated now. And it's looking stunning. So that's the kind of texture that you're looking for. I'm using some silicone cupcake cases because I find that it's easier to kind of fit more into one batch of baking. But you can use the cupcake tray or this. Just line it with some cupcake cases. Spoon the batter in to fill about 2/3 of each cupcake. And then just pop these into the oven. We're going to bake this for about 25 to 30 minutes, checking on it at the 15-minute mark. This has been baking now for 15 minutes. Ooh, look at that. It's looking so beautiful. In order to get an even bake, always turn your tray around at the halfway point. Just because I find that most ovens don't distribute out the heat equally. The back of the oven is always a little bit warmer than the front of the oven. So by turning it around at the halfway point, you ensure that all of your cupcakes bake through evenly. It's been about 22 minutes. These are baked beautifully. Can you see these? Oh my God. They're smelling so good, you guys. While these are cooling down, I'm going to make the chocolate icing to frost these with. While I'm doing that, can I get you guys to please hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of these. I'm doing a whole series of delicious baked goodies with lots of tips and tricks that I have learned from being in the industry and running a professional bakery for over a decade. A classic chocolate icing is so easy to put together, you guys. Again, we're going in with room temperature salted butter. We're measuring all the ingredients straight into the bowl and just whipping it up using a paddle attachment. Got the butter in here. Go in with the icing sugar. I've sifted this to get rid of any clumps of icing sugar. All the measurements are in the caption. Again, just a little pinch of salt, even though we are using salted butter, just to enhance all the flavors. You can also go in with just a little bit of instant coffee if you want to really bring out that chocolatiness of this. Another little trick that I found is that cocoa powder varies in quality from brand to brand and sometimes batch to batch. So yes, I will give you the quantities, but especially when it comes to the icing, just make a judgment call. If it feels like your icing doesn't taste chocolatey enough, or if it's looking a little pale, just add a little bit more in. So let's get that beating with the paddle attachment again on a very low speed, just so that it doesn't fly everywhere. Don't worry if it's looking a little bit sandy like this at first. Just let it mix through and it'll all come together. Just like we do for everything that we bake, always scrape the bowl down, especially when you're making a smaller quantity like that, because sometimes I find that the paddle attachment doesn't reach the bottom of the bowl, so it doesn't scoop up everything that's at the bottom. And then just like we did for the cake, we are adding in just a little bit of milk to help loosen up this icing. Just about a teaspoon this time. And then mix that in. And that's it, you guys. Easy as that to make a delicious classic chocolate icing. Scrape the bowl down and kind of gather all of your icing like that, just to make it easier to scoop it up into your piping bag. Open up your piping bag. Always fold the edges over like this so that you don't get icing everywhere. And I'm using one of these star nozzles. Pop that in. And then we cut the piping bag somewhere about there so that the nozzle fits through and all of these edges are out of the piping bag. Fold it over like this. Pop the folded bit around your palm or around your fingers and hold it like that. Scoop up your icing like that and then just pop it into the piping bag. And then just lift the side up like that. Gather the top, twist it so that no icing comes up from the top of this, and then squeeze it like that so that you have the icing coming out. And that's how you fill a piping bag with icing. So I have one more trick to show you guys to make a syrup to dab on top of the cupcakes, just to give it a little bit more moisture. Grab a little bit of your chocolate icing, get yourself some hot water, and then stir the icing into that hot water. This is a very quick and easy syrup to make for our cupcakes. Use a pastry brush and go in with a generous amount of this syrup on each cupcake. So this does two things. One is that it helps kind of add a little bit of extra moisture to our cupcakes. The other is that it helps the icing stick to the cake. Twist your icing bag like that. Hold it with your non-dominant hand to give it some support. And then squeeze it while you move the bag like that. Before the icing dries up, go in with some sprinkles. Oh my God. That is so moist. It's so soft. That icing is incredible. You can just like have a bucket of just that. Oh my God. It is so good. I've shown you lots of tips and tricks on how to get these perfect bakery style cupcakes at home. Go make these. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Arubakes, so that you don't miss out on any of these. Thanks for watching. Bye.